There is a reason why monthlies appear in almost every planner. The human brain likes to think in monthly rotations ever since we first noticed that the moon has a monthly cycle. The start of a new month is a built-in fresh start, 12 times every single year. So why are monthly spreads so hard to use? The truth is that a monthly spread is so universal that sometimes we can struggle to figure out how we can find a functional application for it for us, not for anybody else. For many years now, I have been experimenting with a bunch of different monthly spreads in my planners, and today I want to share with you 5 of them that are both functional and fun to fill out.
So the first way that you can use a monthly spread in your planner is by just regular old forward planning. Some may just call this simply planning, and I appreciate that. But this is the most common way that people use their monthly, and I think for good reason, because when you forward plan or when you plan out your month, you start at the beginning of the month and you just note down everything you have coming up for the coming weeks. You can see here that I have upcoming multiple date nights. I have filming on my schedule. I have birthday parties on my schedule. I have the times I'm watching Survivor on my schedule because that is a calendared appointment in my household. You can even write things like the new moon or the full moon down on your calendar. Whatever helps you look ahead towards the rest of your month to get a shape of what it looks like is helpful to write down in this sort of forward planning context. And once I get a good shape of what's going on here, I can also see that I have multiple multi-day events on my calendar, which means I'm going to be extra busy during this month because those long multi-day events are things like travel, or I have coworkers traveling, or I have, conferences that I need to be at. I have one big old conference here on the 17th. It's also a full moon that day, so watch out, world. It's going to be a crazy one. But the purpose is to really look at this and be able to see like, oh, I am actually really busy. Here's what I need to make happen in order to make those busy periods a success. Or I don't have much going on. Here's what I could fill my calendar with. Just sort of getting a shape of your month so that you can look ahead and plan in each week a little bit better. To aid in that process, I usually write out some tasks and priorities on my sidebar, basically to give myself some instruction for how I want to handle the month once I see how much I have going on. You could also put a full running task list here. I've seen people, track stuff in the sidebar and everything too, but I find that this spread is the most helpful. This forward planning spread is the most helpful when I just jot it down once at the beginning of the month and then don't really reference it. Yes, I'll pull my tasks and priorities out into my weeks, but oftentimes the purpose of getting this content down is just to get a working memory of what's coming up. The fact is that actually handwriting things down really helps cement them in our memory. So the act of writing it down is what is the most important part of this sort of forward planning monthly for me. It's not actually being in here on a day-to-day basis. It's that act of committing it to paper and thus committing it to my memory. So I really think this is a very useful way to use your monthly. Even if it feels like just writing it down and then never looking at it again, you still wrote it down and committed it to your memory, created a stronger relationship between what's going on in your month and what's going on in your head. So definitely like this method, and I think it's the first and the easiest way to get started using a monthly spread. The second way I like to use a monthly spread is for what I call my distraction method. I've made a number of videos on my distraction method before on my channel, so I'll leave the most recent one of those up in the cards. But essentially the distraction method is where you choose a color of pen. It can be any color. I chose green, and you write out what distracted you most during that day at the end of the day. This is so helpful for work, especially if you have a boss to report to who's like, hey, why didn't you get ahead on this project? Why weren't you meeting this deadline? You can refer back to your distraction method and say, oh, well, I was working on that email campaign that came up that day, and that's why I couldn't meet that deadline. I found this really useful because I work in a really fast-paced job and stuff comes up so quickly and needs to be resolved so immediately that I was then able to use my distraction method to reference when I was, reporting on my deadlines, reporting on my projects. I was able to say, hey, this is what actually moved that deadline. This is why we had to shift that around. And then I had a record, my boss had a record. We both knew the score. We both knew what was going going on. There was no back and forth. It was just, we could sort of build a collective understanding of how the month went from a retrospective point of view. So you'll notice I have a lot going on here, such as I have these priorities. Because I was using this planner for work and I was using my distraction method for work, I didn't do any work on the weekends, so I just took up that space for priorities. But you could also do priorities on the sidebar or below the monthly calendar or wherever makes sense. For me, as a work planner, as this distraction method was developed for work, the weekends were just the natural place for me to put that, so that's where I put that. But yeah, I recommend checking out my distraction method videos. I love this as a way to use a monthly because every day you can just say, okay, this is what distracted me, this is why I wasn't able to get my priorities done, and then at the end of the month you can look back with your supervisor and work on ways to better help prioritize your actual work as opposed to all the distractions that came up. The next way I like to use a monthly spread is as a sort of dashboard method. Now, I want to compare this method to what I had previously shown you when I was talking about forward planning. So this is my actual October, and I basically just recreated my October in an old planner page that is technically January of this year, but I basically recreated it, and you'll notice that there's a few different things, right? So compare with regular forward planning. I'm writing out every appointment I had, I'm writing out some general tasks and priorities. Really, this calendar spread is in use here in the forward planning method, but in the dashboard method, I'm really taking advantage of these sidebar and below the calendar sections here. So my calendar up here is actually only events that I know will take up a significant portion of my attention or that are related directly to goals and projects I'm working on. So really, the dashboard method allows you to keep track of many things at once in your monthly spread. You can see that I have goals, I have projects, I have habits, and I have even, this is supposed to be like a sleep tracker. This is obviously just sample data, but it really shows you how much use you can get out of the sidebars and out of the below portion in your planner in terms of using those spaces for things like your goals, things like your projects, things like your habits, and things like your sleep. The purpose of the dashboard method is to be able to see everything that's going on of a month at a glance. So this is not the only place I'm tracking my projects, for example. This is not the only place I have my goals written out, and this is not the only place I have my appointments, but it is the at a glance sort of daily, week by week check-in when I need to just see where everything is at once. And then I want to make these calendar appointments related to my goals and things like that so I can see just the big stuff that's coming up.
If you want a digital solution to monthly dashboards where you have a bit more flexibility, might I suggest this week's sponsor, xtiles. xtiles is an app that helps you organize all of the chaos of your life into well-structured plans using an easy-to-use interface. It's like Notion if Notion felt like a handwritten notebook and was actually easy to use. So I'm gonna show you my workspace right now. You can see I have a bunch of these different notebooks or projects as they are called in xtiles. But today, for the purpose of this video, we're gonna look at my monthly planner. So as you can see, I have my monthly planner set up dashboard style. It has the little small monthly calendar here off to the side, but it also has some of my month's focus, what my goals are, a place for me to jot down notes, and then tasks broken out by week. So in contrast to a monthly calendar spread like you'd find in a planner where you may have to tweak and fit these things around the monthly spread, this digital solution really gives you all the flexibility you could want. xtiles is also great because if you scroll down right below this, you can see it looks just like a dot grid notebook. So I can just add things as needed. Let's say I want to add monthly budget, and then I can come in here and I can create a table. And boom, we have like a monthly budget table. So this could be like expenses, income, total, or something to that effect. And then I can just write in my monthly budget right here. And I can adjust the size, I can adjust how long or how tall it is in a way that really makes this a very nice and flexible tool. I can also come in here and change all the colors, so I can change how this looks if I want to change how it looks, or I can change it to like red or blue depending on my theme for that month, which again is another nice feature of customization. And within this project, I can even come in here and add new pages. So I can create a new page and choose from a template, one of their pre-established templates, or I can create a blank one. I'm gonna say I also will need a weekly planner, so I'm gonna add a weekly planning page, and then this allows me to break down my tasks further by day, which is super helpful. Again, with that sort of monthly planning dashboard, it gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of ability to build out what you want to see right in the platform. So let's add some sample tasks here. Let's say on Monday, I want to, what do I have for this first week of the month? Schedule 3 workout sessions and review last month's expenses. So let's say on Monday, I want to review last week's expenses, build out budget in xtiles, and set a meeting with the bank. You know, meetings with the bank like you do all the time. This is all gonna support the goals that I have for this week for reviewing the last week's expenses. And then what's even cooler is that xtiles has this little pop-out window. You click on tasks right here, you can see that the tasks for every board you have pops right out of the sideboard. So I can review everything that I have to do in one place, which is awesome. It also has a calendar that you can synchronize with your Google Calendar or any other calendar apps that you use. So you can see all your calendars in one place, all your tasks in one place, no matter how many of these boards that you have throughout the month or throughout your notebook. Let's look at some of the other templates that they have just to show you how much you can do in xtiles. And let's search monthly. So you can see this is the template that I used, but they also have monthly to-do lists, monthly goals. Let's check out the monthly goals one. Again, we have it broken out by week, and we have a review period as well. So you can build in your reviews here just like you would do on paper, but it's nice and compact in xtiles in a digital software where you can always reference back to it and adjust the templates as you need. xtiles is totally free to check out, so if you are interested in seeing what it has to offer you, please click the link in my description box below and start your own digital monthly dashboard through their program.
The next way I like to use a monthly spread is for specific goal planning. So this is actually a full focus planner, which is the planner that I use for goal planning. And in the front, there are whole goal spreads that detail your goals and help you write them out thoroughly. But the way I like to use the monthlies in here are for specific project planning for a goal. So this is for October, and I'm currently trying to write a novel. It is a fan fiction, yes, but it is a full-length novel. And I have my goals for chapters along the side. I have what chapters I need to write each week in order to fully meet my goal. And then just like in our dashboard setup, I only have the big things that I'm doing that are going to interfere with this goal on my calendar. So I have some birthday parties, I have some YouTube work here and here, I have a day off, I can't do anything on Fridays because I have date nights, I can't do anything on Wednesdays because I have Survivor, Halloween is in here, I have a conference on the 17th. So all of these things are things that interfere with me making my writing goal. And then once I have those planned out, I can plug in where I can actually reasonably work on my goal. So for writing a book, the actual actions you need to take is just very simple. It's just writing. So I've put out writing, potential writing here. And that's basically my goal planned out for how I'm gonna work on it during the month of October. Now, because I notice, I'm gonna have a lot of time during this week, but not a lot of time during this week, I've also made notes for myself on my sidebar that say I'm unlikely to make my goal here. I only have 2 writing days instead of 3. So I've made an arrow and put that I have extra time down here on this week. So if I fall behind up here, I know that this is where I'm going to catch up. So when you're goal planning and using your monthly calendar as a project tracker in this way, you want to keep an eye on the things that are coming up and are going to interfere with you making your goal, because then you can plan around it and find when you have a little bit of extra time so that you still meet your own deadlines. So this is an example of how you can use a monthly to project plan. And the last way that I like to use a monthly is as a log. So you can see here that what I have in front of us is a media log. This was the media that I was consuming in February of 2022. I have movies I was watching, movies I was rewatching, games I was playing, TV shows I was interested in, books I was reading. There's just a bunch going on here because I wanted to really track all of the media that I was consuming in a fun way. Obviously, you could just do this on a blank monthly with just pen and simply write into each individual square what you consumed that day, and that would be totally fine. This was a way for me to make this process fun for myself, so I printed out pictures and everything, but underneath each of these pictures is the name of the thing that I watched or read or game I was playing, because I wanted to know immediately when I was watching them or when I was consuming this content, so I knew where to stick the picture structure, right? I also built in fun quotes from everything that I was writing in the empty space when I wasn't consuming as much content. So this is just how I did it, but you could very easily, like I said, just write out what media you are consuming in each individual box. Or you could fill each individual box with one line a day, one line of gratitude, one journal entry that's just a short sentence. I've also seen people do a sketch per day, things like that. This is one of those monthly ideas that requires you to come in here every single day and write out what you have been doing. So if monthlies are really hard to stick to for you, I recommend not doing something super involved, like I have obviously done here with a bunch of little pictures and things. Just figure out a way that you can do something that's pen only and then fill your monthly with that. It is a very rewarding experience. I love looking at this spread. I love looking at the following month spread as well. So there's a lot you can really do here, but yeah, making it pen only is a really easy way to do this and is just as satisfying.
What is your favorite way to use a monthly planner spread? Let me know down in the comments below so we can all share our ideas and hopefully find one that works for us. If you want to keep hanging out with me, I will leave this video right next to my head with more planning tips. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, for being subscribed, for being awesome. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.